boy, does it get hot in New York. I tell you, anybody who says that New York doesn't need air conditioners, it's crazy. So let's talk about my education. What do I have? Let's just map it out really quick as possible. I have an associate's degree in computer electronics technology. I went to a small tech college called ECPI. Other comparable colleges, which I'm sure you've heard of in the United States, ITT or DeVry. Just an associate's. That is my only education that I had. I did one of those compressed degrees where you go to school for 18 months, 4.5 hours a night. I went to the night class for 18 months, and then you come out with a 2-year degree. I graduated with a 2.999 because I slept in class every day, and I was working 10 something hours a day, and I had to drive 2 hours every single day. So it was hell on wheels. But after I got my degree, the reason why I went to school is because my buddy told me he can get me a job working on robots. So that is the typical job like what I do now. That is the only way that he can really help me understand the job. Well, it's pretty much working on robots. Of course, it's a little bit more than that. I explained that yesterday. So I went to school because he said he could get me a job. I came out of school. He could not get me a job. not immediately. So I took a job with Best Buy. And somebody told me about the job, and the job was paying $8 an hour. I went in there, I went into the interview, and because I had worked for other companies, what I do for interviews is I go in there with the mindset that I am interviewing the company, not the company is interviewing me. I'm the one that has something to offer for the company. The company has nothing to offer other than a paycheck to me. That's it. You know, that's the only reason why the human being works is for a paycheck. We don't really work because we love to work. We love it because, we do it for the money, you know. And I'm guaranteed that if we all worked for free, we'd probably do something that we love doing. In my case, I would be designing cars right now. So they were paying $8 an hour. I went in there. I told them, hey, I'm the shit. I'm going to do your job better than everybody else here. And I won $11.50. I came out making $11.50. Everybody else was all pissed off because they were all making $8 an hour. That's not my fault. They should have negotiated a wage. So they could have easily told me no, but they didn't. They said, fine, we'll pay you $11.50. Within 3 days, they made me assistant supervisor. Within 3 months, they made me a manager. I was making, when I left there, $14.50 an hour. That was within 1 year. So within 1 year, from going from $8 an hour when I was in college to making $14.50, which is a $6.50 raise. Everybody else within that 1 year was probably only making like $8.25 after they probably got a 25-cent raise. All right, and then my buddy called me for the semiconductor job. Pretty much it was a shoo-in because he had told me about it. So I went up there. The guy had his feet propped up on a desk like he was, lounging in a lounge chair, and said, I've heard a lot of you from your buddy. He talks highly of you. You got a 2.999 GPA, not the best, but hey, it's, can you turn a wrench? Yeah. Well, what do you do for hobbies? I fix cars and work on cars. You're perfect. You'll be hearing from us. So I heard from them within a week. They said I had the job. The job was going to pay like maybe $18 and like 20-something cents or whatever. They said, but we're going to call you back with a start date. They called me back like a month later, and they said, we're sorry it took so long to get you your start date because we readjusted everybody's wage, and we're going to pay you, it's like $19.56. So I already got a raise before I even got there. So within 1 year of working for making $8 an hour, I worked at Best Buy. I gave myself a $6.50 raise all the way up to now. I just got another job making $19.56. So we're talking close to $11 an hour raise within 1 year. So I got in the industry, made a little bit of money, a couple of raises, whatever. The company decided that they want to lay off, 800 people out of 1,000 to restructure their whole company. I was one of them, because I was still a newbie, really. We're talking 3.5 years. They gave me a severance of $10,000. I took that money, sold a bunch of I had 2 cars at the time, sold the cars, sold a lot of my possessions, took that money and moved out to Arizona. And to reestablish myself out there. This is from Northern Virginia to Arizona. So I had to move across country. Over there, just to make a long story short on that end, after 2 years of, going to school and doing something different, okay, I have audio engineering, like, maybe not a degree, I guess more or less a certificate or something like that, but it enabled me to work in LA. I went out there, worked for a year, gave it a shot, said, fuck this, I'm going back to semiconductor life. My buddy was in the semiconductor industry, another one, he was able to get me a job at his place called Flip Chip International. I wasn't going to get greedy. I asked for $19 an hour. They gave me $20 because they heard that I was badass, whatever. And within 1 year, they gave me a 10% raise to $22 an hour. I asked the supervisor, hey, why'd you give me such a good raise? He's like, you're a cocky piece of shit and you're arrogant, but you do really good work. He's like, so I gave you 10% because you deserved it. You're doing a lot better than everybody else here. So, I took that as a compliment. And I ended up leaving that job because me and the supervisor butted heads, and this is what he told me. This is a different supervisor, not the one that gave me a 10% raise. I was butting heads with him, and he told me, he's like, well, if you think you could find a better job, you go right ahead. Well, that was the number one thing where he fucked up, because you don't tell me that. So that night, I updated my resume. He told me this during the day. That night I updated my resume. I knew somebody else at a semiconductor company down the street. Or, not down the street, but maybe 20 minutes away. It was closer to my house anyway. And submitted it within 10 o'clock in the morning. HR was calling me for a interview. I went and interviewed. And how the interview went is it was an 8-hour-long interview with like 6 different people. I interviewed with the supervisor, or the manager, I'll say, not supervisor, the manager, for lunchtime, and in a restaurant, and he was Scottish. I couldn't understand a damn word he was saying. And, he asked me, okay, so you're making $22 an hour. How much do you think that you're worth? He said, I think I'm worth $25 an hour. Why do you think you're worth $25 an hour? That's a $3 an hour raise for you to go from one company to the next, How do I know that you're going to perform? And I told him flat out, I was like, the reason why I got a 10% raise in the 1 year is because they thought it was better than all the other techs, and this is coming from the supervisor. So if I'm going back and I'm fixing guys who have been, in the industry for 20 years, and I'm going back and fixing their work, I've only been in the industry at that time for like maybe 5 years. I was like, and they're making $30 an hour, I think I'm worth 25. Guy calls me up the next day, says, we're offering you the job. I'm not going to give you 25, I'm going to give you $23.50. He's like, I split the difference. He's like, one, because I liked your answer. He's like, that's the only reason why I'm hiring you, because you gave me one of the best answers I've ever heard from anybody, trying to get a raise just from jumping one job to another. This guy knows the deal. He knew exactly what I was doing. I was jumping jobs. That's the loophole. That is the number one loophole I was talking about the other day. After I got fired when I was 18 years old from a job, I was 21. I'd worked for that job for 3 years. I decided to never have any loyalty to any company ever again, and that's my motto. So I jump jobs. I always keep my options open. So now I'm making $23.50. Worked there for 3.5 or 4 years. After 3 months of them hiring me, they said, oh, the company's shutting down. Great. But it took 4 years to shut the company down. Within that time, I'd got an extra $1, so I was making $24.50. They couldn't give a lot of raises out because they were shutting down. Understandable. But they did give me $72,000 for my severance package. $72,000. So that's the type of money that these companies pay. So I've already gotten a $10,000 severance from one company and then $72,000 severance from another company. That company also had their own job fair, strictly for the employees of the company. And it was really, really cool because we were able to land jobs and get hired on immediately once we left, only with $72,000 in my pocket. So I took a job with Relocation. It was doing the same thing that I was doing, only I was traveling. And, I got to travel to a couple different countries all around the United States. And one of my final resting places was Samsung. And I had worked there for, I think a little over a year. They were paying me, not Samsung, but Relocation. I was a subcontractor. $28 an hour. So I went from $24.50 to $28 an hour just by going to a different company. Within 3 months of working there, they gave me a $2 an hour raise. So now I was making $30 an hour. When I went to Israel and I came back from there, they said, Mike, you did a good job. Here's $2 more an hour. Now I'm making $32 an hour. So not too bad. I worked for that company for 2 years before they sent me up to New York to go work at the present company that I'm at now because they needed some help. And I realized that, everybody was fresh out of college. There wasn't really too many experienced people there. There was maybe two, which were one was the engineer in charge and one was a guy who came from a different company. Not really too experienced on tells, but the guy's actually pretty good. And we were just discussing today, I don't think he has a degree, he has military experience. This industry hires military personnel also, a lot of them. It's either a 2-year degree, 4-year degree, or military experience typically. But a 2-year degree is really all you need. And when I came up here, Global Foundries was trying to get me, and then Tel, which is my present company, was trying to hire me too. So I figured, go for the gusto. I want $100,000 to come up to this cold, miserable, expensive state. So when I interviewed, I was talking with my girlfriend at the time, and I figured it was a smart move because I invited her over from Ukraine, and I wanted something a little bit more stable than going in and out of hotel rooms. And so I decided New York, I guess, is going to be my new home. And instead of settling for $100,000, I figured, okay, maybe that's reaching too far. I'll take $90,000. Company said, we're going to give you $93,000. Essentially base pay. That's a 10% living cost of living to live here, and I make 15% night shift differential also. It comes up to like $93,000 or whatever. But by the time I got done, with bonuses and overtime, I get automatically 8 hours overtime every paycheck regardless, because I work 48 hours in 1 week, 36 hours in next week. So by the time you get done doing all that and everything else and whatever, and when I'm talking about overtime, I'm talking maybe 1 day a month at best. My last wage last year was $131,000 on an associate's degree. People with PhDs and master's degrees, some of them don't even make that much. I mean, that's essentially almost a doctor's wage for an associate's degree just by jumping companies. And is my resume still out there? Of course it is. I have a coworker with me right now. He's always hearing about companies calling me. How many times have you heard companies call me this year so far since you've known me?
Well, just this year, since January, at least 6.
At least 6, all right? And I always see what they have to offer. Why not? Nothing wrong with that. None of them have been really that great, I guess you could say. One of them was to go to Russia for 6 months. Another one was to go to Israel for 2 years. Another one, my buddy wants me to go to Morocco for 6 months. Or not 6 months, maybe 6 weeks. A lot of different things. Utah, Oregon, but I'm pretty happy here, and the pay is really, really decent. I got to work with this shithead here, but it's okay. It's not bad at all. So that's my story, guys. So that's the loophole, is jumping jobs, and I only have an associate's degree from a really cheap tech school that I paid, $21,000 for my degree. So just to kind of fill you in on how I did it. So if you got any questions, I'll leave my email down at the bottom. Let me know what you think of the video. And, I'm not telling you don't go get a 4-year degree. He's got a 4-year degree. A lot of the people that I work with have a 4-year degree. But for my industry, I know it's not needed. Military degree or an associate's is all you need. And do they hire fresh out of school? Of course they do, but they also hire older people too. And just for example, I have a coworker, he's 45 years old, he owned his own contracting business, like he used to fix his houses and whatever, just general contracting. He went to a 2-year tech school, kind of like me, and he's 45 and they hired him. And he's, making, I think, roughly like $25 an hour, maybe $26 an hour. So, and he's pretty happy with it because you don't have to pay employees, you don't have to worry about benefits, you don't have to worry about medical insurance and all that stuff. It's all pretty much paid for. So, there we go, guys. Let me know what you think. Thanks as always for watching. You guys subscribe to my channel, if you like videos like this. Like I said, I know it's not really BMW related. We'll be doing more BMW videos a little bit later. This weekend I'm headed to New York City, so maybe I'll do a little vlog about New York City. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time.